الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وسيد المرسلين أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المذلومين المنتخبين المنتجبين الذين كلامهم نور وأمرهم رشد ووصيتهم التقوى وفعلهم الخير وعادتهم الإحسان وسجيتهم الكرم لا سيما على مهدي هذه الأمة وطاووس أهل الجنة الحجة بن الحسن الأسكري. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج. قال الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والضحى والليل إذا سجى صدق الله العلي العظيم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala often takes oath by certain periods of time in Quran al-Kareem. For example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took oath by time in general and said wal asr, also took oath by the night time, by the daybreak, by the time of Fajr, and he also mentioned wal duha, or the morning sunshine. One thing we understand about the oaths taken by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes one oath or a series of oaths and qasam in Quranul Kareem, there is always a link with what comes after these oaths. So for example, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says wal asr, there is a link with wal asr and innal insana lafi khusr. In the same way, we look at this verse or these two verses of Quranul Kareem where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says wal duha wal layli idha saja. Often, however, when I look at these oaths and the reply of these oaths that comes afterwards, I don't understand the relationship or the link between them. For example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لا أقسم بهذا البلد وأنت هل بهذا البلد ووالد وما ولد. Sometimes people ask, okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes oath by Meccatul Mukarramah and says, Ya Rasulullah, because you live in Meccatul Mukarramah, Mecca is a sanctuary and is a place of hurma and blessing. This was the first oath. Then he says, وَوَالِدٍ وَمَا وَلَدٍ, an oath of the father and the child. So some said, look, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala isn't like a khatib who comes on minbar and his memory is here and there, who he didn't prepare. So he says one thing at the beginning of the lecture and says something else at the end. No. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he says something, there's a sequence. So what's the relationship between taking oath by Meccatul Mukarramah and then taking oath by the father and the child? Look in tafsir, the father is Ibrahim alayhi salam, the child is Ismail. And there's a close relationship between Mecca and Ismail and Ibrahim. In the same way, we find many oaths in Quranul Kareem that on the apparent level, I don't realize what the relationship is with this oath and the context of the surah. However, when I delve into the history and the contents and the ahadith of Ahlul Bayt behind the chapter, it becomes clear to me as to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was saying. In the same way, we have these verses of Surah Al-Duha, وَالضُّحَى وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى. Before we can enter into the discussion, the first question comes with regards to the meaning of duha. I loosely translated it as the light or the morning sunshine. Here we are told that duha is shababun nahar. The daytime, of course, has stages. When the sun first, for example, rises, that itself has different stages. Then there's about between 10:30 and 11 a.m. a period of time in Arabic known as duha. This period of time is that time where the weather isn't too hot. It's not like the zawal and dhuhr or after dhuhr. It's not like that. And it's at this moment of time that the intensity of light begins to spread across all of the skies. So it is that time where the spreading of the shams, of the light of the shams takes place, the sun at that time. This was called duha. And Mufassirin said 10:30 or 11 a.m. is this time. Not too hot, but it's the youth of the day. The day now hasn't just been born. The day is born when after Fajr time. This is that period of time where the day now goes through adolescence and is a youth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَالضُّحَى. This was the same time, we are told, that Nabi Musa alayhi salam would speak and be in conversation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This was the same time where the magicians of Fir'aun went into sajda and said, آمنا برب موسى وهارون, or Rabbi Harun wa Musa. At this moment in time, this duha. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says وَالضُّحَى, then he says وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى, and the night time as it covers. You may have heard, when a person sometimes recites Salatul Mayyit, he says, Allahumma khfir lihada al-musajja. Musajja means that person who's wrapped up. Allah says, I take oath by the morning sunshine ad-duha, and by the layl and the nighttime which covers up with its darkness. The question comes, what was this surah about? And why does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take these oaths? In answering this question, when we come to the reason for revelation, we are told that in Meccatul Mukarramah, a period of time comes in the life of the Prophet of Islam, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, where revelation stops. Some riwayat and reports say revelation stopped for 12 days, others said 15 days, others said 40 days. To give a very, very bad example, bidun tashbih. When a person, for example, is always speaking to someone on their phone and one day it stops, that person naturally feels, what's going on? Why is this person not speaking to me? So without comparing these things to a wahy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but why he stopped? Jibreel wasn't coming down. Some say 12 days, some say 15 days, some say 40. When wahi stopped coming down, the mushrikeen of Meccatul Mukarramah gained an excuse. So they would come and taunt the Prophet of Islam and say, Ya Rasulullah, what has happened? Has your Lord forgotten you? Has your Lord left you that there's no longer any revelation? In response to that, after 12, 15, whatever days, Allah revealed, وَالضُّحَى وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى. Why did this revelation stop? The Prophet of Islam himself said, when the Muslims came, so the mushrikeen would come and taunt the Prophet of Islam. The Muslims would come and say, Ya Rasulullah, Jibreel isn't coming down. So according to one report, the Prophet of Islam says, how could Jibreel come down when the Muslims have stopped cutting their nails? And the riwayah says, and have stopped washing their knuckles. Sometimes this is Arabic rhetoric that we can't translate into English. Meaning what? They've become dirty. How can revelation come down when the Muslims were not practicing the sunnah of the Prophet of Islam and weren't being hygienic? Sometimes I forget that Islam, part of it was nadafa and cleanliness. Sometimes I forget that in order for my soul to be able to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the zahir of a person should be clean. Should be one which is hygienic. When a person's, for example, clothes aren't clean, or himself he isn't hygienic, or herself, they'll find it very difficult to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Try and sit on the musalla of prayer or pray Salatul Layl when you haven't washed yourself, when your nails are long, when you haven't groomed yourself. It becomes a barrier. The Prophet of Islam says, don't forget, yes, the soul was the most important. But if you don't take care of the zahir, Allah sends you a sign that revelation stops coming because of those individuals. You yourselves have been to certain places in the world where you can smell a place and realize that this place is inhabited by Muslims. Na'udhu billah. Why? Because of this issue of hygiene. The Prophet of Islam says they weren't cutting their nails, they weren't being hygienic, revelation stopped. This was one idea. Another idea given as to why revelation stopped was that the Jews, we are told, had come. The Jews would often come to the Prophet of Islam, the non-Muslims, sometimes the Jews, sometimes the Christians, sometimes the polytheists, and they would ask questions about history, about other prophets. On this occasion, a group of Jews came and they said, Ya Rasulullah, tell us about Ashabul Kahf, the people of the cave. Tell us about Dhul Qarnayn, and tell us about the Ruh. All three of things which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala replied to in Quran. وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنْ ذِي الْقَرْنَيْنِ وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الرُّوحِ, and the story of Ashabul Kahf. This riwayah, which we don't accept, says that the Prophet of Islam says, okay, I'll tell you about these things tomorrow. Because never was he asked a question and he answered from himself. No. He says, I'll answer these for you tomorrow when wahi comes. According to this report, he didn't say na'udhu billah, he forgot to say insha'Allah. And so because he forgot to say insha'Allah, as a punishment, na'udhu billah, astaghfirullah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prevented wahi for 15 days, for 40 days. Now the Mufassirin, they looked at this riwayah and they broke it up very easily. They said, look in the history of the life of the Prophet of Islam. When would the Jews deal with the Prophet of Islam and come to him and ask questions? In Mecca or Medina? Even a child knows it was in Madinatul Munawwara. When was this verse, this surah revealed? In Meccatul Mukarramah. In Meccatul Mukarramah, the Jews wouldn't come to the Prophet of Islam asking these questions. Therefore, this riwayah can't be accepted. That because, na'udhu billah, he didn't say insha'Allah, God willing. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prevented the wahi. Rather, there was a deeper understanding as to why wahi and revelation stopped for these number of days. Not these type of things. First you say Quranul Kareem says, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ, and then you said he forgot to say insha'Allah. No, we don't accept this. Rather, there was something deeper. And that was explained by وَالضُّحَى وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى. What was it? وَالضُّحَى, and that sunshine of the morning. And the darkness which covers and wraps up. The night time which covers and wraps up with its darkness. I mentioned here before, without darkness and night time I can't function. Without daytime I can't function. In other words, when there is darkness, this is part of the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when there is light and when the sun is in the horizon, this is part of His wisdom. Allah was telling us in the same way, the darkness of the night was like that period of time when there was no wahi, when there was no revelation. And duha was like that time where Jibreel came down with this surah. In the way that nighttime has a hikmah and wisdom, without nighttime I can't survive. I need to rest. In the same way, I need to have daytime. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, when I stopped revelation, this was for a hikmah and wisdom. And when I gave him revelation, this was based on wisdom. What wisdom? If every single day he would come with revelation and wahi, they would say, this person, he takes it out from his own pocket. Allah wanted to prove that my Habib, as long as I don't send him revelation, he will not even utter one word from himself. Therefore, this darkness of the night was to show وَمَا يَنْتِقُ عَنِ الْحَوَىٰ. You think that he will speak just like that? I prove to you that when I don't send him revelation, the Prophet of Islam doesn't speak. If there was always light in the horizon, if there was never darkness, I would never understand what light actually is. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prevents this wahi so that they understand that this individual, this messenger of God only speaks when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives him this revelation. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala compared revelation with the daytime and the absence of revelation with the night time. As we understand, the Prophet of Islam didn't complain because he realized there's certain hikmah behind this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't punish his Prophet. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala strengthens the risala of his Prophet. But from this we were also taught a very important lesson. Sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes something away from me. Sometimes He gives me a certain thing. In that darkness, when He takes something away from me, this isn't necessarily a punishment. Rather, it's the wisdom and hikmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When He gives me the darkness of the night time, when He first gave me money, then He gave me years when I was poor, in poverty. This was like that night and the daytime. All of these had hikmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala entwined and hidden. With regards to this, a narration comes from the life of one of the prophets of Banu Israel. This prophet of God, he lived in a village, town, whatever. Most of the people, they were farmers. So they realized that when it rains a lot, our crop is yielded to a high amount. We get good crop. We make good money. So at first, they were leaving everything in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One day they came to the Prophet of God. Often, people remember religion when there's business involved. Says, we came to the Prophet of God and said, Ya Rasulullah, you're so close to Allah, you guide us, this and that. What do you want? You're very close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you gain revelation and you guide. Oh, what do you want? Said, can you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to place the power of when it rains in our hands? Right now, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wishes for it to rain, it will rain. When He says no rain, no rain. Can you tell Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as His friend and His close confidant and this, that when we wish for it to rain, it will rain? So this Prophet of God asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives them this power. Whenever they would do whatever asked for it to rain, straight away it would rain. Businessmen in that place every single day it was raining. Every single day. At the end, when it came for them to harvest their crop, they saw that nothing has grown this year. Absolutely nothing. So again, now when we have money, no. When we lose money, again we go to the Prophet of God. They ran to the Prophet of God, they said, Ya Rasulullah, what's happened here, Ya Nabi Allah? The way in which it works is that when there is rain, there are crops, there's growth. It was in our hands, whenever we want for it to rain, nothing has been grown. So this Prophet of God asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, tell them, O Prophet of God, reply to them. They were not trusting the hikmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the result of their own hikmah and wisdom. Sometimes I don't realize that it is part of the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to place darkness in the horizon. It was part of the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to stop this wahi. It was part of His wisdom to bring this wahi again. In the same way, in my life, in your life, it's part of His hikmah and wisdom when He gives me a certain thing and when He takes it away. And that's why there's one thing that we can say about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When He gives, He's generous. You come to my house, I don't have anything to give you. You won't call me generous. Or I don't give you a certain thing. You will call me generous when I give you that thing. Allah, when He gives, is jawad and generous. When He doesn't give, He's jawad and generous. Because when He doesn't give, He knows why I'm not giving this person. When He didn't give wahi for 15 days, this was to strengthen the risala of Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And therefore, this surah gave us this beautiful analogy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We also understand about this, that this solves a very big problem sometimes people have. They say, does it make sense that we have the light and the sun and the radiance of 11 imams, and suddenly we have the darkness of the ghaibah of one imam? This surah solves this problem, that even when there is darkness, darkness leads to strengthening. If I don't sleep in the night time, can I work in the daytime? If there wasn't this ghaibah of Sahibul Asri wal Zaman, how would there be adala and justice on this earth? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَالضُّحَى وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى. One question that the Mufassirin then also deal with is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes oath by part of the day. Duha, we said, is part of the day. And then takes oath of all of the night time. Why did He compare part of the day to all of the night time? It should have been all of the day to all of the night time, or part of the day to part of the night time. But no, part of the day in opposition to all of the night time. Different ideas were given. Some said this was to show the virtue and the greatness of one even part of revelation in opposition to no revelation. So zero wahi was like all of the night time, 12 hours for example. And even one chapter revealed was like that part of the daytime. That's the greatness of the daytime over the night, the greatness of revelation against no revelation. Others said no. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was telling us something else here. When He says وَالضُّحَى, that part of 11 a.m. that morning, and compares it with all of the night time, He was trying to tell you it's as if this duha is the Prophet of Islam Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. And the night time is all of creation. Look at the greatness of your Prophet in relation to all other creation. Like that daytime where the sun shines, just one part of the Prophet of Islam. He is all of Nahar, but just one part is greater than all of the night time. This one Rasulullah Muhammad is greater than all of creation that was on this earth. And so when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes oath by this moment in time, and then takes oath by the night time, we understand Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then replies to those mushrikeen that never did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala leave The Prophet of Islam, rather every single moment that he would speak, he would be speaking through the tongue of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Every single moment that words would come out of his mouth would be words of sanctity, would be words from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, would be words that came through Jibreel. And therefore, when it comes to Shahr Ramadan, a time where we understand that the Quran is revealed, here we understand the status of the Prophet of Islam. Because the Quran itself says, if I was to go onto a mountain, you would see that this mountain crumbles. People say, what's the mu'jizah and miracle of your Prophet? Hope you can give them many miracles. You can read the books of history and tell them the miracles of the Prophet of Islam, but the greatest miracle is this, that which if it goes onto a mountain, the mountain crumbles, it can go onto the heart of the Habib of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Without there being any change in the health, in the face, in the surah, in the state of this Prophet of God. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the month of revelation of Quran al-Kareem that He allows us to gain closer to the Prophet of Islam and his teachings, and to gain closer to this word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allahumma aghfir lil mu'minina wal mu'minat wal muslimina wal muslimat al-ahya minhum wal amwat tabi' baynana wa baynahum bil khayrat innaka mujibud da'awat innaka rafi'ud darajat innaka sami'ul aswat إنك دافع البليات إنك قاضي الحاجات إنك على كل شيء قدير اللهم كن لوليك الحسين صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا وصلى اللهم على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين.